of able to cooperate, around anything.
I mean, SKT were like, trying out a few new things, quote-unquote new things. Like, they didn't go for Lee Sin when they could have. They went for the Graves instead.
Right.
Gave Lee Sin over to Kasa, who obviously had a monster performance on that one. Didn't really have a counter pick for the Syndra either that Mabel picked. So they put themselves in a situation where they actually gave away some really strong picks and didn't really have good answers.
I'd also say a lot of the credit of that, though, does go to the Flash Wolves, who picks Fizz as a flex for top, then bans out Echo, setting themselves up for the Syndra. And if SKT took the Syndra, then they had the counter with the Fizz. So it was super intelligent drafting, and we'll see if TSM can craft themselves a very good draft here against SKT.
And we see TSM right now ban Lee Sin. I think a lot of people be like, why? Why not just first pick that champion? But I feel like it's just because they want more flexibility with the first pick. They don't want to be forced to take Lee Sin no matter what is left open otherwise, because then Peanut will grab it.
It'll also be interesting to see if SKT is going to last ban the Ivern, which has been almost permanently banned against TSM. Those are kind of considered the two champions that Sven can play pretty well. Peanut has shown Ivern, so now does TSM feel the pressure to actually lock this in here and perhaps give over something like a Karma Ashe?
I feel like you go Karma right now because you are not afraid of Peanut's Ivern. Like, the guy looked awful on that one champion, on that one game.
But is SKT afraid of TSM's Karma, Ivern?
They should respect it at least.
Protect the ADC comp. That's something that TSM has not been able to run really with Turtle.
That is very true. It obviously is very hard when your AD carry has not been, one of the strongest performing members, but giving him so much help with shields could set Wild Turtle up for success. And we also have to remember, those shields can be used on the mid laner as well. Like, Bjergsen will also benefit from this, and maybe Hansa on the carry.
See it not be all eggs in one basket type of scenario. We'll see if they can get Bjergsen going. I like the idea. Graves as well on the side for aggression from Peanut in the early game.
And while getting Bjergsen going is always a good thing for TSM, to me, their success has been much more about Hanser, simply because I think that the top lane field in this tournament hasn't been as strong. And while Huni is obviously an incredible player, I think that you're more likely to find success for TSM if they can get an advantageous top lane matchup, have side lane pressure, and play around Hanser, because that has been the only way that they have looked good.
Yeah, I like this cannon pick a lot from TSM. Put that top lane, it's a good matchup against the Fizz. What SKT is trying to do is exactly what Flash Wolves did against them earlier. Trying to take Fizz as a flex pick, and say, if you pick Syndra now, we put the Fizz mid lane. If you don't pick the Syndra, then we can always put Fizz top against whatever you're picking. But Kennen is a good matchup now for Hansa.
Definitely is, but we'll have to see if TSM can actually pick something up that is going to match well to the Fizz in the mid lane, and make that a bit of a blind pick.
Wow. A little denial of the Kennen ultimate coming in. Not that it's Hanser's main initiation in here, but a little safety in the Sona pick for Wolf.
Sona is a bit of an old school counter to Karma. I actually saw Archie use it as well against Karma in the play-ins. So it is something that's been around a little bit, but she's pretty far down the tier list simply because she's only used right now against Karma specifically.
And she's also extremely easy to pick off. While she does have a very strong straight-up laning phase, it can be very tough for this champion to survive ganks. Always very squishy, and the ultimate is pretty much what you add for a team.
Yeah, you can still obviously put the Karma mid lane, play support here. Zyra is an option. Otherwise, you just put the Karma bot lane and say, you know what, we're actually not that afraid of this lane.
And this draft is actually getting so complicated because Karma could be flexed, the Fizz could be flexed. You have to think through so many different options here. If TSM decides to put Karma mid on Bjergsen, then the Fizz can go top. They could try to put something else like a Talia, which I think matches up well and can roam well. So there's so many different thoughts you have to think through as far as where can the champions go and what matchups are we even striving for.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we could see Caitlyn from Wild Turtle once again, with Ezreal being banned away. Like, you have the shields to protect him. Yes, okay, your mid game is not very strong, but you didn't say, you know what, if we get to 3 items, then we can actually start matching SKT.
Consideration of SK Telecom T1 saying that could be Bjergsen's Hanser. We want to save Wolf on that Sona. Ban out the Thresh, no potential to kill him in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Biofrost is a pretty strong Thresh player, so you take away something like that hard pick and you make it a bit more of a safe lane, kind of a slower 2v2, because she is going to match up so well against Karma, as Devicio said.
I like this Ashe pick though. Ashe is traditionally a very good laner against Caitlyn. Then you have the Sona against the Karma. So SKT is saying, we expect you to run the Caitlyn, we allow you to do it, but we're going to pick a very strong 2v2 lane against it.
And not only is that frightening just simply because of the matchup, but it's also very
scary. He might actually do it.
because
He might do it.
I mean, if he does, I haven't seen him play Leona. I have the confidence that he could play Leona or something like an Alistar, which did receive buffs, but I'm still not expecting that because TSM has not had success with Bjergsen on these supportive mid laners.
Right.
He's too important to their team composition, to their team fighting, that it has not really worked out. And I think this is what TSM is doing. If this was another team, perhaps they go that route.
So the problem with picking Syndra here is it means Fizz will go mid lane. Huni gets to then get a pick up for top lane. He's taking the Galio that we just saw, you know, from the Gigabyte Marines. And it's once again that kind of pick where you're like, it's okay to lose the lane a little bit because I'm just going to add so much team fight presence.
It definitely is. And once again, it's a nice pairing because it's about the Fizz plus the Galio. The Fizz can easily enter the backline of the fight. If you get back there onto someone like the Syndra, the Galio is ulting in right away. Syndra can now not fight back because even if you use your Playful Trickster to enter the fight, traditionally the counter would then be you drop the Syndra ultimate right away, but you have a 50% damage reduction or 40%, I guess, at max rank coming in from Huni.
Right.
I think I would have liked to see Orianna maybe as a pick instead. Much better laning phase against the Fizz specifically, but that being said, Orianna would have again left TSM purely late game focused right now with the Iron as well, and would have maybe been a little bit too much in the late game department.
And I think what this is TSM playing to their own strengths. They're trying to pick what is comfortable for them, what they are super confident in, and we'll have to see them play at a very high level to ever beat SKT. So they need to play comfort, I think, to ever hope to attain that. And this is something where there are some easy targets for Syndra to take down.
Yep.
Things like the Sona are very susceptible, and the Ashe.
Yep.
And if you can have Haunter succeeding in that side lane, he definitely can pressure Galio.
Just have to follow the mid laners right now. Level 6 on Fizz. That's an opening. Graves comes in. His ulti adds onto it. Ashe arrow flying in. You can't really run cleanse if you're Bjergsen because you need barrier to kind of protect yourself. It is a tricky game to play Syndra in, and Bjergsen needs to really perform at his absolute top level to pull this one off.
And that is always going to be the case against SKT, no matter what
That is
you
a great
run,
point.
no matter how good your draft is. I mean, I felt like Flash Wolves really outdrafted SKT in the previous match, but they had to show the best game of the tournament
As
for
well.
pretty much every single player, because you don't get to make mistakes. You don't get to have a losing lane against SKT, really, and hope to get away with that.
Right, that one losing lane is the way back into the game for SKT. Everybody does it so powerful and masterfully. And we'll actually see if Bjergsen gets caught out, giving himself a good amount of distance and watching that entry to the river. This allows SKT a bit of an invade, but same thing on the top side.
Always kind of sucks when you have to play SKT later in the day and they lose the first one because you're kind of like, these guys are not going to tilt.
They're angry now.
They're going to get very angry. Chroma is going to be like, guys, that was unacceptable. Here were all the mistakes. We're going to change it up. Like, next game, you're going to just go in and you're going to smack whoever you're playing against.
And Bang's interview about wanting to have cleaner games was before their loss, because he said they still had the 4 games remaining. So they wanted to have cleaner games, then they lost. This is a super motivated SKT that is going to look to close out this game as fast as they possibly can.
That means there is no room for mistakes. Continuing the vision to stop Peanut's reign in the jungle we have been seeing throughout this tournament is one of the big things. But I guess it's every lane, as we have been saying. A tough task for TSM as we start off with some wards on the bot side, but no experience just yet.
Bang did get zoned away and actually took a bit of damage to his face. Now, SKT will get control of the red buff, but obviously TSM just put down a ward saying, okay, we know you're starting here.
Now, the interesting part about this is with the Ivern, you know, you're disrupting his jungle because the only way he's going to steal away your camp on the other side is by committing his smite. And now that he's smited his blue buff, you know, this would be super delayed. So I think Peanut actually has time if he wants to try to go his red straight to his own red and try to stop that. We'll see if he is going to try to go for that.
I think the only person I've ever seen do that before is Odd One back in the day. And we're like, why don't they go red to red? Always going red to red. This time, we don't get it again. And the general is not pleased. 2 minutes in, it looks like the regular camps for the junglers.
About 40 seconds on that smite. Have it available in time. And seems like Peanut are okay, just kind of trading. To be fair, also, Peanut didn't actually know that Svenskeren started on his own blue. Maybe he thought that Svenskeren actually walked in and just stole the red at first and then walked back to his own jungle.
I completely agree, but the one thing with Ivern is you have to commit all your health and put down all these marks, and you can't actually collect the gold for quite some time. So if you can get over there, you know that only some of your camps can actually be stolen because the ones with the smite are the ones that are most vulnerable.
So Bang just checked every single camp in their own red side jungle. That now means they know, okay, they're all marked by the Ivern, but he didn't actually start there. He also, of course, would have to then have started on the blue buff. He's now back in his own jungle. Peanut, though, he's just doing a full clear on his own side. They kind of just split the jungle right now. He's not actually contesting the Iron, despite knowing all these camps are marked.
And you can look at Bjergsen trying to assure that his jungler can actually pick up these camps now by pushing in Faker. And Faker could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Very low. Oh, towards the turret! Playful trickster.
But this is key, because Bjergsen needs to be dominating the mid lane so that Sven can safely pick up the camps, and top lane has to be pushed in so that they cannot collapse on him. Otherwise, Peanut would have been able to come up, deny the collection of his camps, and get a big, big lead.
So Peanut ends up checking in the end that all camps are now gone. Sven Skaren got level 4 on this Iron right now. Faker didn't have to flash, obviously used his E towards the end, but that's again, Fizz will always just get shoved in early on. He's not the strongest laner pre-6. It's just the kill pressure he gets with the ulti. Hunter, using his push, would probably go in and just kill Blast.
And it's also the farm, right? Like, how far can you get ahead? And so far, Faker is pretty much dead even here with Bjergsen, which is very good for him.
Yeah, there's always the value of bringing teleport.
Right.
If you're a weaker early laner and you know you're gonna get, poked down and you have to go back, instant TP back to lane, just make sure you stay even. Faker's even roaming right now.
Feels good to get that vision ward down. Lane's resetting, so he can get some safety on the bot. But since Garen was really hovering the bottom side here, waiting for Turtle and Biofrost to get an engage.
And that pink spot is one of the least checked by professional junglers.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like these wards stay a ridiculously long time, and it gives you so much value because they know where Sven Skaren is, and this may mean Peanut is going to run right into him. I mean, he's been spotted now, and SKT's jungle could come up here.
It looks like they decide not to. Maybe not enough power in their hands just yet, but the vision is enough power for them right now. Still able to encroach those wards.
And obviously talk about the Graves pick here for Peanut. Picked very early, saying we don't want the Iron, we picked one of the counters to Iron instead. Like traditionally when Iron was played all the time before the nerfs, Graves came in as one of the good picks against him. Things like Rumble Jungle we saw as well. Just like these junglers here that can clear really fast and then join like these team fights with a ton of AoE damage, because Iron's own shield is only on one guy. Obviously the Redemption Locket will be the AoE he provides.
So you pointed out, the effectiveness of that teleport. Now the teleport is down and there's no more charges on that corrupting potion. The next time that they can force him to base is the one where you kind of get punished for more. So the continued aggression from Bjergsen is going to be pretty key.
Continuously clearing that ward. They just pinged it. Peanut went down behind red to clear the vision, and he may come mid for Bjergsen, knowing the vision was cleared. Bjergsen has that clock, and he knows when to move.
Peanut doesn't really want to gank before level 6 on Faker. Faker is just a few minions off. Goes back, gets full HP so he can return to lane. He's sacrificing a wave basically to say, I want full HP for when I hit level 6, and then we can make a play.
And I think that Bjergsen should know this, and I'm looking for him to base and buy something like a Negatron to help try to survive any potential all-ins that could come out. But meanwhile in the top lane, Hanser went for the Cult buy. He's going for that pretty greedy buy. He's trying to get advantages here, and
sucks for you.
Tonight.
Ring around the rosy. The game of cat and mouse or Graves and Tree goes to Sven Skaren on that one. Looks like, again, though, the junglers consistently knowing where each other are, but still getting a one-over on each other here and there.
So here is Bjergsen's base, and we'll see what he picks up.
Bot lane trade.
Right here in the bot lane, flashes.
Double flash there. The resolve would have locked in one. Mid lane fight as well. Chum the waters onto Sven Skaren as Faker going to be pushing him right out of the lane. Decides not to go for it. A little too risky.
This is actually pretty good for Bjergsen, that the first ultimate is actually used on Sven before Faker has picked up any CDR. Sven can happily base, then come out, pick up his jungle camps, and that all-in potential has now been kind of delayed.
So, the 1v1 will be fine for Bjergsen for a moment, but what if we add in Huni? What if we add in Graves as well, which is what SKT might be looking to do, because that's the thing, once you hit that long-range fish from Faker, you just jump in with the E as well, or the Q from Faker, and then you just Huni ulti right down.
And which is why it's so important for Sven to be playing around the mid lane as he is, to always be in the back pocket here of Bjergsen, because he cannot survive that three-man gank by himself. But with good positioning, and the Ivern to back him up, perhaps he can.
That vision we saw from G2 in the last game on the top side to spot also the moves from Huni. Whenever he leaves that top lane, have to just kind of call and see if you can maybe spot him on the way down, so Bjergsen knows a fight might happen.
And the vision has been constantly getting cleared out by Peanut. Bjergsen has been dropping his wards around the top left side, but they're getting cleared out by the jungle pressure. Constantly coming in, threatening that out.
It's like he's now placing them one in mid, knowing it won't be seen. They can use the vision.
It hurts.
Yeah.
That is actually my favorite warding spot when I'm playing as well, because people just never, for whatever reason, never check that brush. It lasts so long.
They already click somewhere else on the map, so the character just takes the fastest route around. Daisy's in the building.
Looks like Peanut. One
More
shot,
here from
two
TSM.
shot, three shot, knock up. They're gonna have to walk out of this one. Looks like they get away with the buffs as well. Around the wards. That vision ward we're talking about as well was placed at 4 minutes down there by Faker.
And we have to remember that this is a blue trade, because SKT had already stolen away their blue. So they're trying to keep Bjergsen with his blue buff and the Lost Chapter so we can non-stop spam out and clear out those waves and kind of play more safely around that. But Faker clearing out the vision, always having the threat of that extra attention.
As long as Bjergsen has a tower as well, right behind him. Stays a bit safer with the barrier. And of course now the early magic resist that you pointed out earlier, Ezreal, that he should get. Now, we're also looking at Turtle, because he used Flash earlier to try and go for that trade with Bang. Maybe thought Bang was going to step on a trap and then he could try and win it. Level 6 Sona right now. Double TP coming up very soon as well. That might be a dead Caitlyn, but first we're looking top lane.
And Faker making the roam here, but Ivern is behind, so if they commit too much, could be turned around on them.
Great read by Sven Skirren. Bjergsen calling a missing lane, and they choose correctly on where that goes based on vision.
And Sven definitely does deserve some credit this game.
Yeah.
While he has not gotten involved in any kills, nothing like that has happened. He has been in the right place at the right time. He has been covering his laners, anticipating their moves, and I think that for a guy who has received a lot of criticism, he's playing a good game.
Absolutely, a supportive role as well. He has to be with the team at the right time, sometimes harder than making your own plays, because you really have to make the right decisions at that point.
Yeah, and he finally gets his Iron as well. You know, being banned so often against him.
Yep.
Now he actually doesn't need to be a big playmaker, which is where he's been punished a few times when he's invaded in. You know, he's looked for a skirmish, he then gets caught, he dies. Not really needed on Ivern. He's looking bot lane now.
Yeah, in the setup, you can see Wolf posturing aggressively on the Sona. If you can land that ultimate, it's very easy to follow it up with the Ashe ult, and Turtle has to show the respect, play very defensively. They may be setting up for this 5-man play that you had called out earlier. Sven is not in the area just now, but looks like they're not going to pull the trigger just yet.
Biofrost could get the Mantra Shield on, protects quite a bit. And more vision being cleared. Right now, the priority for SKT. This is that clean game. If the other team doesn't have vision, they have no idea what you're about to do. And that's what Peanut is on right now.
Just every single time Bjergsen is pushing up his waves, Sven is right there in his back pocket, making sure that he can't get all in. And Hanser starting to take a lot of damage here. He needs to get some magic resist itemized towards that wit's end.
There's the Chum the Waters. Nice dash through for Faker. Going to do a lot of front-end damage. Collateral hits. Not enough to take him down, but this is 2 lanes out now for TSM.
Oh, that's a lot of damage, but Bjergsen did not blow either summoner. Good calculation on the damage and very patient.
But they force Bjergsen now to play very defensive, potentially even go back to base. That allows them now to roam bot lane. Remember, they have double TP. No flash on Caitlyn still for a few seconds.
Hanser stayed in lane as well. This could be Huni picking up a kill.
Oh, he's going for it.
Forward, tries it, gets the flash, the hit. Huni comes up with first blood.
As soon as he punched forward there, as soon as he used that E, Hanser needed to flash, expecting the taunt flash there. He does not.
They're looking for a fight right now.
Wild Turtle gets the arrow on the side of the fight. No protection for him. Sven now in the eyes of SKT as Bjergsen's looking to give him a scatter.
Huni's behind them right now.
Huni just missing Sven Skirren with the blast cone. The alley-oops himself to safety, and Sven Skirren's going to prep this, get what they can on the way out.
Ooh, but why would you try and contest a dragon when your top laner just died and the enemy top laner, of course, sitting with TP?
Bjergsen just got hit out of mid.
Yeah, I mean, your mid laner just got pushed back. You have double TP on SKT. Your top laner just got first blooded, and you're up there trying to contest. TSM's bot lane had no business being around there, and the first big misstep from them is definitely going to cost them big time.
Quick cleanup here towards the bot side. Good absorbed by Sven, and we'll see this one again.
Yeah, they're simply so split up. Their mid laner is not even close, and their top laner is dead. That is nothing you can do here to try and stop that dragon, and you just sacrifice yourself for no reason.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you play that out. There's no way you're really going to win this one. And Hanser, you know, building towards that board, he is eventually going to be able to outscale and start to bully this lane, but the fact that he actually got solo killed with this matchup is pretty disappointing, and he needed to show some more respect over to Huni.
I'm just on the Galio hype train. I think every single game we have Galio, he's doing well in the laning phase because his base numbers are very, very good.
Yeah.
He's a tank with wave clear as well, and his ulti has been very impactful in almost, you know, every kind of different, in almost every kind of composition we've seen at least at this tournament. We've seen them once where they dive in and you want to try and use it to, you know, get into the front line. We've also seen them in Protect the AD Carry comms, but they use it to say, here's a 40% damage reduction ulti on whoever's getting caught, and now this guy won't die.
And I personally really love the diving ones because I think that you can always use it defensively, but the offensive option is what it sometimes lacks, and it can sometimes be harder to close out games because you don't have something like a Nautilus for the hard engage. But when combined, you know, with a Fizz or with a Zed, as we saw last time, you still have that. So you have all the options, and you have the shove top lane too. So it's definitely looking pretty powerful.
And to add on to that, when you also have that split pushing power, you automatically start, you know, relying less on pure engage because you rely on pushing lanes and then roaming in behind the enemy, and you get these flanks where it can be, you know, a Fizz hard engaging basically from out of nowhere. If his ulti lands on someone, that's a way to start a fight, and it's not like, you know, a Jarvan jumping in and having that open engage. Well, TSM moving down the bot side, trying to see if they get things done, but Bjergsen doesn't know they're there. Walks straight into an open jungle. Hanzo was getting the TP in, which gave him a false sense of security, and they both get deleted. They do find Bang, however. Baker is coming down, though. Huni cannot join. We'll see if TSM gets pushed for this turret. That is really the big goal, as they're losing their top side. The trades back and forth. Hanzo makes it out. Teleport and flash down for him, but the play is made as he gets right up there. Top lane against Huni. Then Garen getting hit up. Baker belts forward. He should have the damage even after the resolve locks down. He can go back into the fight, but it's Peanut flashing forward. Reloads the gun and looks for the hit on the Biofrost. Not just shield to save the team, but it's not enough. It's Baker closes the gap. Playful's back, and he's such a trickster to come up with a double kill. SKT get everything. They clean up TSM in the 3v4. They get solo gold on Huni in the top lane from that first turret, and they are off to the races. I actually like this play from TSM with the TP advantage, but because SKT already killed Bjergsen instantly, it becomes a 4v4, and now you're just overstaying. And Sven actually stepped onto that fish. He got tagged, but
stood right there, lost so much health from it, and that prompted the engage there from SKT, so just posturing too aggressively.
Yeah, also we have to remember it was an AD carry traded for mid laner before the fight, and AD carries at this point are obviously not very strong compared to that level 11 Fizz from the mid lane. So Faker was happy taking that fight.
He certainly was, and a lot of credit to that later play goes to SKT anticipating the roam down with the control ward. They hit the Ashe ult and the Sona ult onto Bjergsen, and they kill him before he could do anything.
I mean, that turnaround was just beautiful. Again, they were under pressure. TP came in, it would be 5 members from TSM on the bottom side, but because they reacted so quickly killing Bjergsen, they just removed a lot of the threat. And that actually allowed them then to defend and then set up this next play. I think I said it was a 4v4 after, 3 before, obviously.
Take stock of the fact that Huni was also able to get that solo in the top. They left it solo for Faker in the bottom when he took down the turret as well. So they are getting their lanes going in favor of Huni and Faker here. Now onto the Cloud Drake. They can speed around the map a little bit faster and just get under the skin of TSM a little bit more.
TSM now is going to need some time, but it's going to be hard because, you know, with this AD cannon, if you can't get side lane priority, you really do not add a lot to the game. And I think that it's tough because he's now down 1,000 gold after getting first blood solo killed and the turret going over to Huni. Huni is going to stay relevant for so long that it's hard to see Hanzo, you know, and his team lasting long enough to hit for him to get mid.
Oh, fights everywhere.
Arrow top, fight in the bottom. Faker, Bjergsen going on a 1v1. Here comes Daisy as Faker's supposed to get out. Redemption comes down. I think he could stay alive for a little bit longer just to provide some nuisance to the bot side. There it is. He does go down as mid-fight fizzles out with Wild Turtle falling. Now Hanzo, he's been taking the Winds of War damage the entire time. The way Huni farms, the caster minion in the back line has always been hitting Hanzo, prepping him for another solo kill.
It's a disaster in the top lane for TSM. The fact that their split push cannon died again solo against the Galio here. Huni is playing this champion to near perfection right now.
He really is, and SKT is just looking too strong, and here's the fight in mid lane. Hurdle getting caught out. That Ashe-Sona combo, layering it very, very well in full commit to the fight. They're now looking to get Rift Herald for Huni, which secures him even more top lane dominance.
And it gets almost impossible now to play the comp. If you look at TSM, because they were supposed to have this like 1-4 setup with the winning side lane with the cannon, and then you had one lane on the other side, you just kind of pushed, and then you moved the 4 members together. So Syndra, Caitlyn, none of these champions really want to sit in a side lane against a Fizz. They want to just push the lane, leave, go mid, and then group as like a siege comp. You can't do that though when now your top laner is already losing, so that's a problem for you. He might actually die again.
He doesn't have flash for another second or two. I think he is going to die.
Mooney with enough for about 4 or 5 heated up tower shots. Gets out with about 120 HP to his name. And they're just making it look so clean the way they want it to.
TSM should finally get this turret down here, but I mean, they're just, it's not enough right now for them. And the focus, you know, adding insult to injury, Peanut is so fed and going up top and extending that lead is going to be so tough for them to come back.
It is so hard to find ways to get enough gold on the Caitlyn that you're trying to protect with your Ivern Karma composition. Because right now, Caitlyn hits her weakest part, where she wants to farm, she wants to get her Infinity Edge, she even wants to get a third item before she can really start dealing damage to Huni. Like, Huni right now are already sitting on 154 armor. He's going to get an Iceborne Gauntlet, so that's going to be even more armor on top of that. And Last Whisper is obviously not going to be built very soon, if you look at Wild Turtle and his current situation.
Monster tag with Chum the Waters. Still the stun, but Playful Trickster Belt to get in safely. He used it to get out and get that ultimate out of Monster along with his. Now mid lane's being pressured by SKT as Faker has just been causing trouble on the bot side. Sven and the team don't want it to go down like this, and they initiate onto Huni, forced to pull back, and things are looking good if that's the tank to turn away first.
So TSM holding on to the mid lane, a good redemption bot lane to protect their top laner, and Sven playing pretty well around this, but TSM is still getting pushed down, and they're getting chunked out. They're very low on health. They're going to TP in. They're going to try to force this right now. TSM needs to retreat.
Baker just flexing with the teleport, and it's what the team needed to go forward. You got to remember, they're still working with a crescendo, so TSM can't even go that far forward if they want to.
We know that LCK and SKT, you know, they don't really value the Ivern that highly. They think it doesn't really do enough early game. Let's talk about that after in case Faker wants to fight again. He is spotted though, so no ulti either.
See how much damage they can put out. Cooney still has teleport to get back to his position if necessary.
Meh.
That's a little win there for Hanser as he at least gets the Galio ult out.
A very small win.
Very small win.
Very small win he was looking for.
You know, to go back a little bit to the itemization that you were talking about, I think that the Iceborne, especially in a situation like this, is so smart for Huni because he wants to take the lead he has already gotten and maintain his side lane dominance. And this is such a strong dueling item. It's going to allow him to fight up and stay really strong against Hanser for quite some time. I mean, Hanser at this point is going to need many items before he's ever really able to deal with it.
Exactly, and Bjergsen is under pressure now.
Scattered back, Peanut gets the heal. A little bit of movement speed as well to stay safe. But it is not above SKT now to just go for these engages. Know they can get Bjergsen to be out of position for a second. They're looking for the kills everywhere. They know how strong they are here 21 minutes in.
Peanut had another great game. Was never really under any threat, and as I was saying before, you know, SK, they never really valued the Ivern too highly. They think it's too easy. Invade him. He doesn't really do enough in the early to mid game. You can just farm against him as well with picks like Graves. And he's been doing that. You know, early game was literally just him running around killing wards. He didn't join any fights. He didn't have to. He just power farmed. And I'm not sure this is the game to convince Peanut that Ivern is a champion you need to play. That one time you picked it.
I mean, it's tough to say because, you know, if Hanser is getting an advantage in top lane, then perhaps this comp starts to look very, very different, right? But, you know, the way that it's been played out by SKT, they have certainly gained all the advantages.
And that's kind of the issue, you know, for Ivern. It's hard for him to go top and really snowball Hanser, really help him compared to some other junglers. Bang his bot lane, forces a flash.
Flash and the ultimate coming out. Looks like they may be able to drop this bottom turret. They're going to get pushed off by TSM. Wild Turtle Biofrost coming down, so just a bit of damage, but respect still to be paid by SKT here as they make their way out. However, they're across the map. They're playing like a 2-1-2 right now and just making it work.
And I mean, the control that they have gained in the jungle, they're taking away camps on both sides of the map. You can see none of their jungle camps are up, and they're farming TSM's jungle, and that's why you're seeing this gold lead just balloon. I mean, this is not that long ago that it was a pretty close game, and they're up 7,000 gold at this point. SKT is so good at taking anything you give them and really extending that advantage further and further and further.
It's always that mid game where they don't actually take any risks because they're just pushing lanes, getting deep vision. They spot TSM and they know, okay, if you're sending members to top side, we take everything on the bottom side. So they're not going for any crazy tower dives yet. They're just taking all the farm on the map. They're also waiting to be strong enough to just take down a Baron without Huni being there. They can obviously, of course, put Faker once the TP is back up down to the bottom lane and have Huni with the team on top side to tank the Baron. Can't do that right now due to the cooldown, so they're just kind of waiting and taking every single camp.
Complete control over the buffs as well means Bjergsen cannot put out as many orbs. His damage is reduced, also starting to be levels behind, so expect to see those level 16s from SKT very soon. Here you can see the taunt in. Huni wins a war a little short as he gets bladed, and it will be Bang just on his backside. I wonder if Huni stays in for this fight. Looks like he decides to back.
I think he will. I think they're going to move Bang down and look for the repeat Ash Arrow. Remember, they forced the flash not long ago, and this is another thing that SKT really excels at, punishing you in those windows where you don't have your cooldowns.
This is a bit risky though from Bang. Oh, he hits it though.
Oh, there's the flash hit. Huni has had it, and he has used that flash off cooldown to get the taunts in. Svenskeren doing what he can, but a little late to the party. Goes in. Here's Biofrost. Not too much damage just yet, but Wild Turtle here to throw in the DPS now. Is it enough? He doesn't really have it behind the Hurricane, and it's now going to be Wolf coming in to sustain the team. They could get behind the turret as Peanut is just on the end.
And Turtle just has no damage. I mean, he had to go into the QSS. Doesn't even have his 2 items. He's going to need 3 or 4 before he even starts tickling Huni at this point.
24 minutes, boys. Scaling for late game.
We got late. I'll see you at 40s.
That play though from Bang, he actually, so when he roamed into the jungle, Peanut and Wolf, they were running for base. They were not even close. Faker's TP is still not ready. He was on the other side as well. Good thing though that Bang is pretty damn good at hitting the arrows, so they actually could kill Hanzo through Redemption and everything. That was the first risky play they pulled though in this mid game.
And it's also good that Huni is hilariously fed. I mean,
it helps.
It's so hard. Even if they don't hit the arrow there, can you actually engage through Huni and take them down? Probably not, because no one is dealing any damage for this guy. And now he picks up a full Thorn Mail. Like, Turtle is so behind in itemization for where he needs to be to kill him. Now, not only do you need your IE, your second Zeal item, Armor Pen, and you need Lifesteal to not just die to the return damage. I mean, what else does he need, Divigio?
He needs his team to help him as well, trying to kill this Galio. Probably a remake would help him at this point.
Huni is at 327 armor.
Look at this guy.
As we go down, we'll see. Does not matter that there is a turret there.
I know, you can see right now, if you look at the minimap, Caitlyn Karma will join first. We don't actually want to see the rest because no one died. Luxury items for Huni with 327 armor, 25 minutes into the game. Not what you want to hear as an AD carry. It's been some rough games, I feel like, for the AD carries. Last game as well, as Sven is getting dove by like everything.
Yeah, this one's rough, but kind of in a different way. And we'll see if they can ever kill Huni. I don't think so, because the rest of SKT is coming down, and TP coming in from Faker.
Huni right now is just a prep for the rest of the team. He says, all right, I've absorbed the ultimates. Let's take it home. They're going to be on to Hanzer. Huni very, very low, but Faker goes to the front with Zan. That's going to be Huni down, but there goes Svenskeren, and a lot of the summoner spells are down for each team. It's how they use the abilities now. Cooldown's coming back up, and it looks like SKT feels like it's a bit too dangerous.
The raid boss is down, but they can't handle phase 2 just yet, so we'll see.
Wipe it. Discuss the tactics, figure out what we do. We gotta do it again and again and again and again.
That's the thing, they're so far ahead, they can do that again and again and again.
And the problem with this raid boss here is he's actually gonna get a GA probably. So
see it again.
That phase gets a little bit harder to play.
And I mean, Huni is playing a little bit silly here, right? He's so far ahead of the team, but it does work out because they just don't have the damage to kill him. Even diving the turrets this early on, SKT has the confidence that they can at least go even in this fight.
Actually, nice stun on Faker as well. He didn't really get to do a whole lot in the fight, but the trade 1-for-1. Small win for TSM. I don't think it bothers SKT.
I think those moments for SKT just let them know that, hey, there's still mistakes to be made. We just won't do that again.
Yeah.
Easy correction.
Let's take the Baron. Buff up all these minions once again.
That decision making also makes it hard for TSM. They have to find these fights. They have the single target hit from Bjergsen. It's hard for Hanzer to get in now, even past Huni, as we've been talking about. It's about SKT kind of making those mistakes now.
It really is, because TSM has to maintain vision control around Baron, but there's so many ways to engage for SKT, and they're so strong and so far ahead that if you ever get caught out, the fight is already lost. So, you know, it's a battle between how far forward can you go and how far back can you let your vision be pushed.
You can see the separation of just levels in the fights. 16 for Huni and Faker, 15 Bjergsen and Hanser. That's quite a bit of damage there to be had, or resistances if in Huni's case.
We actually often see teams either try to create a little death rush and get one kill to just delay the game further, or potentially even just surrender the Baron. Just say it's actually too dangerous if we face check. Bang his bot lane again to try and gank for his carry.
Cannon wave, next one's pretty far away. Looks like they're just going to call Haunter's attention here to see if they can get any of the rotations they want. Mid lane's going to be pressured and pushed. 15 on Infernal. And they're kind of waiting for TSM to make a move that probably just gives SKT a really nice Baron or that Dragon very easy.
They are, and it's like Peanut's so fed that Bang has said, all right, you're the AD carry now. I'll be the jungler. I'll gank the lanes. Don't worry about it. Maybe pick up a sight stone a little bit later.
Let's see where they go. The decision has been working so far. Scrying orbs forward to make sure they have that vision on the bot side. If it is Bang to be down there with Huni. Infernal first. And we'll see TSM start to make a move. They say this is our chance for pressure and vision. Let's get it around Baron so we can at least jockey for that.
Again, a game like this is just one of my favorite things about SKT and how stacked the lineup is. Now, if you don't feel like carrying today, I'm sure someone else, to the left and to the right will just say, fine, I'll do it.
It's a bit of the discussion we had when we saw Peanut on Ivor. Somebody can sit back and somebody else from the team steps up.
It's actually something Huni also talked a lot about when he joined SKT, just how in the West, there's a lot of pressure on the Koreans because when the team is not winning, everyone looks to the Korean and says, why don't you carry us? You play a carry and you try and win your lane and then we see if that's enough. That pressure is no longer on him at all. That's why he can start playing the tanks because, again, you rely on Faker, Bang, Peanut, whoever it is to kind of be the big carry in one of these games. And this game, it was Huni and, of course, Peanut, as we've seen so often. They're looking for Baron now.
And TSM needs to find something here. Let's see if they can, though. Beautiful fish.
Oh, double hit. Bjergsen, so many heals, so many shields. How is he still alive? It's Huni going in, and the taunt may just be the end. He finally falls after just about everything is used. Can SKT continue the fight on Svenskeren? Yes, they can. Hanser now retreating to the base. The wave's not really in position, but the Baron, very much so.
When he got in the backline here, the raid boss refuses to die this time around. Peanut almost went down at the start of the fight, but he got out, and then it was just a quick turnaround for SKT to back at the Baron.
And that is the gold lead working for you. When you're that strong, you can take those fights. You can edge out those little differences, and SKT are going to knock down the Baron, and they will have a death hold on this game.
Patience, patience, patience. Waiting around Baron, going to Dragon, move TSM into that area SKT wanted, and they were able to find the fight with vision. 13-3 now, 30 minutes in, Baron for SKT.
Simply means TSM, if they lose this game, will move to 3-5. The same we have G2 sitting on, Gigabyte Marines, Flash Wolves, Hanser might die.
That's the crescendo. Playing the final bits of music, Hanser still able to stay alive. He's not listening to what SKT is playing. And they're going to try and keep this one in their favor. A good push from Hanser in mid has slowed things down, and TSM get a bit of breathing room.
They're going to try, but it sounded like Wolf is playing the ending credits. Yeah. Because TSM is pretty far down in this one. And SKT have all the tools.
Believe in the late game, Azael. Believe in the late game.
Scaling.
All right. Everything on to Bjergsen. It's chunked down. Huni's not even in fight yet. There we go. He joins now. Peanut almost goes down, but it doesn't matter at this point because the damage is simply not there. They're barely hitting Huni.
And look at Wild Turtle's health. That's just from hitting Thornmail. He's not actually getting focused in this fight. He's just losing so much health to the return damage from that Thornmail. And until you have lifesteal on top of your armor 10, on top of your crit, you actually can't even survive just hitting this guy.
I feel like we keep adding more items to Wild Turtle whenever we talk about what it is he actually needs. Last Whisper is ready for him, so that's a small win, at least. You might need a Blade as well.
Yeah, I think Bladed Rim King is a pretty strong item against Galio like this, but they need to hold on for now. The Baron is up, and Hanser may get it picked off.
Right under the turret. It's not even going to matter here. Looks like he did. Going to keep himself alive. Very nicely done.
Sven has actually been so good with the redemptions. I have to give him credit for that. The cross-map redemptions, always on time with those. He has been saving his teammate, but they are getting crushed on all sides.
This is where SKT starts to bite down, try for damage onto Bang. They have to get out of the heroic charge, or entrance rather, and that's the kill over onto Svenskeren. They're trying to assist the team from lane to lane, but gets caught out in the rotation. Bjergsen now toying with Hanser on the top side before Peanut can come down to crush the turret. And Wolf always there on the backside to sustain and move back to the other lane.
Me back down in the bottom lane, with Split pushing all game long and only joined when his team called for him for a potential fight. Signal up in the skies and Huni will show up.
It has been fantastic play from all the lanes here on the side of SKT, saying they wanted to clean things up. This one looked pretty squeaky clean up and towards a bit of the end here, and they look to put the final touches on the last inhibitor turret, and the inhibitor now in their eyes.
And TSM knows they have to make a play here. They're going to go for a desperation fight.
The Bane kill that they were looking for. Crescendo went out, a little bit of a miss on that. Wolf goes down now. This is how we saw G2 taking a hit in the last game. But the damage that Huni can do, the damage that Peanut is providing from that back line is now all on the front line. And Faker hops in now onto Hanser, running for the base is Wild Turtle. Rather, Svenskeren as he just spawned, I should say. And now it is SKT onto the Nexus turret. After Ivern, they're going to cut down the tree. Not long for this world. And the triple kill coming in for Faker as they're on the Nexus turret.
They're gonna get it all. Look like TSM could get a few kills, but then a quick turnaround from SKT.
19-5, 34 minutes in. SKT from lane to lane, bringing the pain. And 7-1 now in the MSI group stage.
And you gotta say, it started in the top lane for SKT. What a game from Huni. People talk about him playing tanks now, but he carried on this tank. He carried from the top lane. That's such a good game. And as soon as Hanser was shut down here for TSM, they lost almost all their options.
Another day at the office.
Now take a moment, Rip. Breathe it all in. Breathe in that SKT.
A day we didn't lose the game, though. So a little bit of an unusual day for SKT. Did turn around in the end, though, get the 1-for-1, and they're obviously sitting there #1 in the group. We're looking at every other team, basically, because we're still so close, like between TSM, G2, Flash Wolves, Gigabyte Marines, and even WE, despite them picking up a few games here and there, they're not too far away from the rest.
What a matchup as SKT shows strong once again. We are going to set it over to the analysts for a deeper dive into that game.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. SKT not going to dwell over their loss from earlier today for too long, striking back with another victory to go to 7-1 at the end of day 4 for this squad. So again, showing why they are the best team in the world, able to keep their composure, kind of recollect their thoughts and come back in with a well thought out strategy and execute on the game plan.
Yeah, pretty straightforward win, you know. A lot of the verbiage you're using is pretty standard because it felt standard. After a loss to Flash Wolves, we didn't really know what SKT we would see. Remember, SKT, sure, they lost 10 games in the regular season, but it's a different SKT. It feels like a lot of the narrative around SKT is as if they're the same team in the past 3 years. And of course, only Faker and Coma are the members that still stand around at that point. And when you plug in Huni and Peanut, when you plug in carries, you can never really know how two emotional players will react after a loss. But it was very much the trademark SKT, like it was in the regular season. The draft, which I think we'll pull up, I think was one of the main proponents for SKT, as they took a page out of the Flash Wolves book and went for that flex fizz that I think TSM kind of counterpicked themselves against in a couple of different ways.
Yeah, it did